Hello, welcome back to the channel of nonsense. It's that time again where I take you through the car I've been living with for the past 3 months to tell you what I've liked and not liked about it. It's a Peugeot 408. It's one of the weirdest cars I've lived with. It's kind of my company car thing from Motorpoint. And yeah, it's been interesting, mostly in a good way, mostly. Now, I have a bit of a confession to make about this car. I've had it since October 2024 and I've only done just under 2,000 miles on it. I've not used it as much as I normally would because I've been driving different cars every week to inform and entertain the denizens of YouTube. But anyway, let's talk about it a little bit. It costs £36,000 new for this top spec GT model with the 1.2 petrol engine that's in it. No hybrids or anything like that in this one. It's now worth 25 grand, so it's lost about 11 grand in about a year, and it's got 17,000 miles on it now, there or thereabouts. That appreciates, well, faster than Mark Zuckerberg's grasp on reality, and I think it's because, well, it's French, but also no one really knows what it is. It's a hatchback, but it looks like a saloon. It's jacked up a bit like an SUV. It's kind of the same size as a Skoda Octavia, but not quite as practical. And it's also got smaller engines, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I like the way it looks, especially in this colour, Obsession Blue, when it's clean, which it definitely isn't at the moment. I'm sorry, all of the car washes near me are broken because it's been a little bit cold lately. It looks nice when the sun is out, when it's hitting it. It looks really nice. This angle's nice though. Not quite so sure about this one. It looks a little bit dorky from here, and you can also tell now it hasn't got a rear window wiper, which actually hasn't been a problem. Even in winter, I think the design of the back end, the aerodynamics, means this doesn't actually get dirty at all. Look, my hand's vaguely clean, apart from the peanut butter and KFC grease, but hey, that's my personal thing to deal with. But yeah, you can see it's a bit jacked up and it's got some cladding on it. The boot's 536 litres, and that has actually been okay. We've done some family trips in this, some trips to airports for the 4 of us, and it swallowed all of our luggage without a problem. So 536 litres is fine, but again, if you're comparing this to something like a Skoda Octavia, that's got a way bigger boot and is a bit boxier and hasn't got the sloping roofline, so you can get taller stuff in it. It's been fine, but I've done a full review of this, by the way, over on the Motorpoint channel, so click up there to go and watch that rather than me, because I'm going to grab the camera now and tell you some of the other bits I've liked, and then we're going to get onto quite a long list of niggles. Let's call them niggles. That's being polite. Right, the things I have liked about this car. Excuse all my rubbish in it, and it is filthy, but I'm filming another video which I'll probably put up before this. But the cabin quality is quite nice. It feels quite posh in here and premium when it's switched on. It's switched off at the moment for reasons we'll get into. And you've got this yellow stitching on the seats. The seats are reasonably comfortable. They're not the best, not the worst. And you've got some Alcantara on the doors here. And the door bins are clearly big enough for my other half to fill with empty squash bottles from my children. You've got a couple of USBs down there, and there hasn't been any wireless charging in this one, so I've had to carry a wire, but it has got wireless CarPlay, so that's all good. That is good stuff. Also good, this is really filthy back here, I'm so sorry. Loads of back seat space for my kids. Don't look down there, I'm just going to put my hand there. That is filth, that is mud. As you can see, it's got a nice step so your kids can get the mud in the car when they step up into their child seats. It's okay. It is reasonably big, but perhaps not quite as much rear legroom as you might expect for a car that is getting on for 4.8, I'm guessing, metres long. Now the niggles, and this is the first one. I'm going to walk away from the car. Hey, it locks and it beeps. That's fine, you might think. You can turn that off. You can't turn that off. Every time you walk away from the car with the key in your pocket, it beeps and locks itself. Maybe that's okay, maybe that's useful for you. It's just a bit annoying for me, especially when I come home late at night and I walk away from the car forgetting to lock it on the key, it beeps. And it's not that loud, but it does annoy me and make me feel a bit self-conscious around my neighbours, who are all lovely people, but here we are. And you might also have noticed, dear viewer, that this car is still locked and the mirrors haven't folded in. It doesn't have automatic electric folding mirrors on a car that cost 36 grand originally. Like, every modern car that I've driven recently, apart from really cheap ones, folds its mirrors in. But no, I've got to manually give it the old... Ugh. That reminds me of a story about James May. He bought a 458 Speciale. I think Ferrari put one on in the production run so he can have one. And he told me that he forgot to spec electric folding mirrors, and it annoys him every time he puts it in his garage. There we go, fun James May fact. My next niggle is one of a slightly baffling spec from Peugeot. Here in the UK, this top spec GT model comes with a heated steering wheel. Lovely, great for winter, but not heated seats. This car doesn't have heated seats, but it has a heated steering wheel. And the heated steering wheel, we have to go through a couple of menus on the touchscreen to turn it on. It's just weird. It's just weird. Why hasn't it got heated seats if it's got a heated steering wheel? You might argue, and I do this sometimes, that these kind of suede Alcantara seats shouldn't need heating, but they do still get cold in winter. Not as cold as leather, but I would like to have had the option to warm my bum. Right, this next niggle is a bit of a nitpick, but it's annoyed me enough that I'm going to mention it. I only noticed this when I had a Peugeot 3008 in, which has a very similar infotainment system. Admittedly, it's got two swipey rows of these eye toggles. But that car, in Apple CarPlay, puts this list of shortcuts over here. It knows it's a right-hand drive car. For some reason, my 408 puts them all the way over there. When you're driving and you're trying to do a shortcut, it's a bit of a reach and it's a little bit dangerous. Why can't that be over there? Because on other Peugeots, it is over there. That's a firmware thing. This car's got over-the-air updates and it's never updated to put that over there. I don't think it's an Apple thing. I think it's Peugeot. Right, the rest of my quibbles are really about the engine in this car. It's a 1.2 litre, 130 horsepower, PureTech turbocharged 3-cylinder. Yes, it's probably going to suffer from the wet belt problems that are plaguing this PureTech engine. However, Peugeot's fixed this, I believe, and on the 136 mild hybrid engine that has replaced this engine, it's got a timing chain, so it's not going to have that problem. But this has still got the old engine. It's also... Sorry, a cow just mated in the field next to me and distracted me. This engine, also 130 horsepower. The performance is actually fine. That's not a quibble, really. It does feel a bit strained when you really rev it out, and if you want to accelerate really fast and put your foot all the way down, you don't get quite as much acceleration as you want, but it's okay. The only thing is, being a 1.2 in quite a big car just means your fuel economy is not all that great. Over the nearly 2,000 miles I've done, I've averaged 40.5 miles per gallon, which is not terrible, but it's not great, and you're going to get about 450, 500 miles to a tank of petrol. So I would have liked a bigger engine because it would have been more efficient if I could put money on it. To drive this Peugeot 408, it's actually been quite impressive. It's certainly the best driving Peugeot you can buy at the moment because it's not a big heavy SUV and it's not electric. It doesn't weigh a huge amount, and actually down a twisty road it grips remarkably well and the body's nice and flat. And on a twisty, fun country road you can actually have a bit of fun with it until you want to accelerate really hard, and then you put your foot down and you get the noise, and you do get some turbocharged acceleration, but it tails off, and you do get the sense that that 1.2 litre engine isn't quite butch enough for a car of this size. You get used to it, and it's not been a problem, but it's not the strongest engine in the world for a car this big. There you have it, my likes and dislikes having lived with a Peugeot 408 for 3 months. I would say it's a solid alternative to things like Skoda Octavia. I wouldn't pay full list price for it, and I don't think the new electric version has got a great range and it's expensive. But on the second-hand market, if you just want a petrol or a plug-in hybrid version, it's a decent family car. I would give it 7.5 Tim Roadies out of 10. I would say. Now, the car I had before this, you can click up there, I can't remember which way it is, I'm sorry, I'm awful at YouTube, to go and watch my video on that. That was an Audi A6 Avant with 200 horsepower diesel. That was more my bag. And my next car, which I pick up tomorrow to live with for the next 3 months, is a small Swedish meatball of a thing. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you've liked this, please hit like, subscribe to my channel. Go down to the comments, leave me a French word for, you sounded quite depressed the whole way through that video. Is it the weather? Are you okay? It's fine. I just need a KFC. And I've given up fizzy drinks for the new year. So I've had 2 weeks of caffeine withdrawal migraine headaches. But hey, I'm losing weight. It's good. Goodbye.